Okay, hello yogis, welcome back. I'm on a bit of a roll today, so I thought I might try and make one more video. So this is going to be very short because there's not really much you can do whether you're watching somebody meditate, but I wanted to talk to you about meditation in general and just talk about some easy ways to get started. So meditation, where you kind of have this idea in some people do, maybe not. We have this idea that it has to be a particular way. We have to sit a particular way. We have to hold the chin mudra, all this kind of stuff, and it doesn't have to be that way. So the point of meditation is to bring a calmness to our mind, to let go of the ego, to let go of the mind talk, because that's not really who we are. The talk in our mind is everything that we have ever heard kind of condensed down and rejigged into our thoughts. Now, we are not our thoughts. We are beyond that. We are the self that is viewing those thoughts. So we are the seer of the mind. So when we are meditating, we are trying to be the self that is the seer, not the talk that is in our mind, which sounds a kind of bit like gobbledygook. But what we're essentially trying to do, if you kind of find that a bit too much, just sit there and don't think about things too much is essentially what you're trying to do, and allowing your mind to be quiet so that you can just be you. So how do you do that? Well, you don't have to try and stop the mind talk. That's not the point of what we're trying to do. When we are sitting in meditation, you will constantly have thoughts fluctuating in your head, and depending on your state of mind, your state of being, you may have more thoughts than others. What we are trying to do is we are acknowledging them, we let them come in, and we let them leave, but we don't dwell on them. That's the point that we're trying to always kind of remember as we meditate, and then we try to allow them to leave and just come back to that stillness, that calmness. So what I recommend doing is just starting every day with 3 minutes. That's enough. If you only did 3 minutes of meditation every day, that is still enough to create change within the brain. And this is a definite there's a definite science that has proven meditation can have an impact on our brain, on the brain waves that we're producing, and on our state of being. So this is old hat now. This is science that is known. So even 3 minutes a day can have that profound effect. If you add those 3 minutes up every day over time, that's quite a lot of meditating. As you feel more and more comfortable, you can obviously increase the time that you meditate. So different ways are recommended for meditating. If you find it extremely difficult to bring yourself into a meditative state, another thing that you could do is listening to binaural beats, which isn't technically meditation, but because of the way that they work, it helps to bring the brain into that alpha state, which is when we're meditating, is what we're aiming for. So if you're familiar with brain waves, and there is like alpha, beta, theta, beta is like our normal, everyday life kind of brain waves. Alpha is when we come into that meditative state. Theta is when we come into that more deep kind of lucid dreaming state. And so what we're trying to aim for is not to go so deep that we fall asleep, but to kind of go deep enough that we come out of that beta wave into a more calming, focused alpha wave. So how can we do this? It's up to you how you would do it. If you think you're going to fall asleep, then you wouldn't want to do it lying down. But if you find that you have got pain in your back or things that are uncomfortable, some people cannot sit for a long period of time in a cross-legged position. Traditionally, we would sit cross-legged because that allows the energies to in our body to recirculate. But if that's not comfortable for you, sitting on a chair with your feet flat on the ground is perfectly fine. Even lying on a mat, like lying down, is perfectly fine, because the key here is that we're trying to do it. We're not trying to put barriers to doing it. If you are looking for a kind of a comfortable thing, you can actually get your yoga belt, and I wish I had one to show you, but I'll just kind of try and show you with my scarf. You can get your yoga belt, and you can actually wrap it around your back, and then haven't got a very good scarf here. I'll just try and show you. If you had a yoga belt, you could do this a bit better. So obviously you wouldn't have your knees so high, but you can actually hold yourself, get your belt balancing so it sits probably around this part of the knee. And then what that would do, it acts a bit like a lower back support. And if you do that, it can actually make it much more comfortable. So if I'm sitting there now, I can lean into that. It's almost like leaning into a chair. So you can kind of do something like that for yourself. So it's a kind of weird video there. Anyway, so if that helps, another thing that's really helpful is to get yourself a cushion. Oops, bit of mud on that one. Oops. And it's to sit so that you're sitting on the edge of your cushion. So traditional positions to sit is to sit on the edge of your cushion, and then you have. So this is the thing I can never quite remember. Sorry, but it's left and the right depending. But left foot into the groin, and then the right foot comes in. And the reason we do that is because it helps to recirculate the energy into that base chakra. But sitting like that so that you're on the edge, that actually naturally brings you into a more tipped forward position and helps to keep the back straight. If you know that sitting like this is going to become uncomfortable, don't sit this way. Sit in whatever way is going to be comfortable, that you can maintain this without losing your concentration because of aches and pains. And then over time, what you'll find with more work on your asanas, you'll actually increase the strength in your body, and you'll be able to sit comfortably without actually too much discomfort. But it doesn't have to be initially. So we sit down comfortably in whichever way, and then what we want to do is we want to close down the eyes, and we want to be in an environment that is calming. So don't sit in the middle of the lounge room with your kids and they're screeching and crying on. That's not going to be helpful. Maybe like nick off to the bedroom if you can, or somewhere where it's sort of in a quiet, soothing environment. And we're going to close down the eyes, and we're going to breathe in and out through the nose. And what we're going to try and do is just keep the focus on the tip of our nose. Okay, so you don't have to meditate this way, but I have found that when you're first starting off, this is a fantastic way to make it achievable. So we focus on the tip of our nose, okay, and as we're breathing in and breathing out, we just keep our attention on the nose. We don't try to do anything else, literally just imagine the sensation of the nose. We might notice the sensation of the air coming in and out the nose, a slight cooling sensation we get maybe just below the nose of the air flowing out, and we keep our attention on that. Some people, as they're first starting, also find it helpful to just think inhaling, exhaling, inhaling, exhaling. Now, ideally, we don't really want to have any thoughts in our mind at all, but while we're starting to learn, that can be a really helpful thing. And we just sit there, inhaling and exhaling. And as a thought comes in, we acknowledge it, and we let it go. Okay? We don't become part of the story, and that's the key. We can see the story coming in, we view it, we don't become part of it, we let it go, and continue doing that. And over time, this process becomes easier and easier, and you eventually get to a point where the stories don't really come in. You don't really need them anymore. Your mind just knows, it's time for quiet, and you sit and you acknowledge quiet time. You notice your breath, or maybe not at all. You might just sit. Another way that you can practice, if you find you've got a beautiful spot in the garden, say for example, is you can come and you can practice quiet attention. Similar idea where you're noticing the nose, except this time you are just noticing the sounds. And you sit quietly, just listening. And you might have thoughts come through, you let them come and you let them go. Same thing. And you keep doing that. And the longer you practice, the more and more you practice, the easier this process becomes. And you only need to do 3 minutes. So if you want to, get your timer, put your timer on, sit there. When it goes beep, 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 off you go. Go about your day. It doesn't have to be longer than that. If you want to, then you can take it longer when you're feeling ready. And the more you meditate, the better it is for you anyway. So hopefully you will work to increase in the time. But at the very least, if you can get 3 minutes into your day, that can have a profound effect, especially if you start your day with 3 minutes of meditation. And then at the very end, something that I love to do, which actually helps us set about the day, is I think of something I'm grateful for. So when I finish my meditation, my little alarm might go off. I'll think of something that I'm truly grateful for, or I'll think of something that brings me joy, something that makes me feel alive inside. Quite often, this is my children. I think of them. I feel really good, and I feel loving, and I feel happy to start my day. And starting my day on a positive note like that can have a flow-on effect for my whole day. So hopefully this has been a useful discussion for you. Try seeing what you can do with 3 minutes. Let me know how you go. Let me know if there's any barriers to it. And good luck with it. Hopefully you can get into it.